Hi there, and welcome to The Daily Gardener, a podcast about garden history and literature. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling, and today is November 15th. Well, as winter settles into our gardens, I've been thinking about the plants that either shine or struggle during these darker months. And as I was going through my notebook for today's show, sifting through all the different notes, I ran across a post that I had put into this notebook. It was from a long time ago, and the writer said something along the lines of, I don't like my rhododendrons in the winter. They just look sad and dead. There's really nothing to them. The person who wrote this post is very correct. However, then they went on to provide a little quote from Thalassa Crusoe, the renowned horticulturist and television personality. And they said, Thalassa Crusoe used to say she'd never plant a rhododendron in a place that could be seen from inside the house. So what the writer was saying is that not only are rhododendrons not providing anything to look at during the wintertime, they should also not be placed where you can see them from a window because they're just not that interesting to look at. However, that was not what Thalassa Crusoe was trying to say. Her reasoning wasn't about their winter appearance at all. Instead, what she believed is that these magnificent shrubs, their blooms, could be visually overwhelming in their full glory, and that they might not contribute positively to the indoor aesthetic that you might have going on year-round. So the colors of a rhododendron in bloom could potentially clash with the colors of your decor. And so Thalassa advised that people take that into account. So while she liked rhododendrons, she just didn't like them right outside her window. But yes, the writer of the post is correct that there's really not much to see with a rhododendron in the winter, which if you have rhododendrons right now and you're looking outside, you yourself can see that. It's not a shrub that you get for winter interest. But speaking of indoor views and winter gardens, let's talk a little bit about holiday gifts for gardeners. I thought this might be a good topic to bring up right now. People are starting to think about Christmas shopping. We're about 10 days out from Thanksgiving, and so this is about the time where we start thinking about what would a gardener like to get for Christmas. And so I stumbled on an article from 2006 that caught my eye. It had some remarkably creative suggestions specifically around rare plants, which of course can get very, very pricey. But whether you give a gardener a bulb or a houseplant or even a gift card, there are so many wonderful nurseries that you can support, whether it's a local nursery or a nursery that has a wonderful online presence. So if you're wondering where you can go or a place that you could check out that maybe you haven't looked at before, one would be Heronswood Nursery. They have wonderful hellebores in addition to so many different other options, but just something to think about, Heronswood Nursery. They do a great job shipping. And then if you are shopping for a historically minded gardener, someone who appreciates heirlooms or maybe some specialty type plants, check out Old House Gardens. They have beautiful tulips, all kinds of interesting heirlooms that you might not be able to get a hold of locally. And so that would be another wonderful online national resource that you could check out, Old House Gardens. Now, for today's show, what I thought I would do before we get into botanical history for today, I have two remarkable readings about winter gardens. They're separated by nearly a century, but they're united in their appreciation for winter's subtle beauty. And so I wanted to share these readings with you. The first one comes from Vita Sackville-West, writing in The Observer in 1880 from her column In Your Garden. And in this article that she wrote, she's talking about one of her favorite fruit trees for winter interest, the winter flowering cherry or the autumn cherry, Prunus subhirtella autumnalis, the botanical Latin. It's a deciduous tree species that's known for its unusual flowering habit. So key characteristics include the fact that it blooms sporadically from late autumn through early spring, with peak flowering usually occurring in late winter. The flowers are pale pink to white, semi-double, and appear before the leaves. And then, of course, it's valued in gardens because it provides color and interest during the winter months when so many other plants are dormant. And I should mention that the winter flowering cherry is native to Japan. Here's what Vita wrote about this cherry tree. May I remind readers about the winter flowering cherry, Prunus subhortella autumnalis. I know I have mentioned it before, but that was a long time ago. And as the seasons come round, one remembers the things one tends to forget during the rich months of spring and summer. Besides, there are the Christmas plant tokens to think of. This cherry was in full flower during the first fortnight of November. I picked bucketfuls of the long white sprays. Then came 2 nights of frost on November 15 and 16. The remaining blossom was very literally browned off. I despaired of getting any more for weeks to come, but 10 days later, when the weather had more or less recovered itself, a whole new batch of buds was ready to come out, and I got another bucket full as fresh and white and virgin as anything in May. So there you go. A little bit on the cherry tree, the winter flowering cherry from Vita Sackville West. All right, the final reading before we get to botanical history is from Henry Mitchell. This was from his article called Blooms in the Boxwood. It was written on November 15th back in 1981, and I thought I would share just a few little snippets out of this very long post with you today, something you would enjoy. And to cue this up, Henry Mitchell is writing about zhuzhing up the garden a little bit, so that's why the piece is called Blooms in the Boxwood. Many times I have seen small green gardens, no bigger than a living room, and planted with just boxwood and ivy. It is thought there is no room for flowers, or that flowers would be too distracting in a tiny garden meant only to be restful and handsome all the year. Such a garden will bore you quickly. A town garden of just box, or yew, has a fatal defect. Winter turns to spring, and spring to summer, but there is little change in a garden of box and ivy. Not a great deal needs to be done, but something does, and I shall suggest what it is. All that is necessary is to have a strip of earth between the box and the pavement, or grass. The idea would be to have just enough plants to remind the gardener of the changing seasons. Such a garden could be brightened with a large clump of Japanese anemone, and never looks better than against a background of box and ivy. A much-neglected fall-blooming perennial is the bugbane, named for its supposed baneful effect on bugs. Since I have never yet paid any attention to the bugs in the garden, apart from butterflies, moths, dragonflies, ladybugs, and lightning bugs, all of which I value highly, I cannot say whether the bugbane chases them off or not. Also for fall, there might be a patch or two of white fall-blooming crocuses. If there is space, the white Japanese quince called nivalis is handsome in late March with white flowers on its naked stems. If there is sun, there could be some white geraniums. I would not want white dahlias, but you might. There is no way in God's world to disguise the basic weediness of a dahlia, though the flowers are lovely enough. It's up to you. Maybe a small clump of galtonias would be all right. Maybe one of those very pale daylilies that looks white. Maybe a few off-white small petunias would smell good. As fall comes, you might indulge in a white cushion chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemums, in my opinion, cannot be made to look very grand or elegant, so I would not overdo them. Of course, they are fine for specialists who like to grow hundreds of different sorts, but I am speaking of just a green garden with a touch of white. There are also white hybrid clematis, which are not too rambunctious for such a garden if kept to walls or poles. But you would not want to let the white clematis henryi to smother the boxbush. Also, I have not said anything about white lilies, of which there are many. I myself have never succeeded in growing the white martigons, but I would if I could. And the box and the ivy would look all the handsomer from the occasional contrast of the flowers. Good advice from Henry Mitchell on flowers for a white garden. Well, as we transition from these timeless pieces of garden wisdom to our historical segments for today, we're reminded that gardening connects us not just to the seasons, but to generations of gardeners who have observed, learned, and shared their insights about the ever-changing canvas of our gardens. It's time for today's Botanical History. It was on this day, November 15th in 1806, that William Wordsworth received a life-changing invitation from Lady Margaret Wiles Beaumont to design and build a winter garden at her estate in an old gravel quarry. This unique request would lead to what Wordsworth later called, quote, "the longest letter I ever wrote in my life." It was a detailed garden design that merged poetry with horticulture. The story begins with Lady Beaumont's bold vision to transform a desolate quarry into a winter garden. The Wordsworths, William, Dorothy, and Mary, had just arrived at Hall Farm in October of 1806 when they discovered the proposed location. The site's potential immediately captured their imagination, particularly after William recalled John Addison's influential 1712 essay on winter gardens from The Spectator. In that journal, Addison had written words that would prove prophetic. When nature is in her desolation and presents us with nothing but bleak and barren prospects, there is something unspeakably cheerful in a spot of ground which is covered with trees that smile amidst the rigor of winter. Dorothy Wordsworth's enthusiasm is evident in her November 14th letter to Lady Beaumont, where she praised the location for its hillocks and slopes and the hollow shape of the whole. Just one day later, the formal invitation arrived, igniting William's gardening imagination. As Dorothy reported on November 16th, "My brother has frequently paced over and studied the winter garden and laid some plans." The resulting design was revolutionary for its time. Wordsworth envisioned 8 distinct compartments, each telling its own story of resilience against winter's bleakness. He planned for double fences of evergreens, carefully selected flowers for year-round blooming, and even included an innovative fountain, quite radical for 1806. The garden was designed to be, quote, "a spot which winter cannot touch." Today, while much of Wordsworth's original garden has changed, fragments remain, including some ancient yews, Scotch pines, hollies, and a tall chimney from one of the original cottages. His vision of creating hope and beauty in the depths of winter continues to inspire garden designers and poets alike. And it was on this day, November 15th in 1887, that Georgia O'Keeffe was born, an artist who would revolutionize how we see flowers through her bold, modernist vision. Over her remarkable career, O'Keeffe created more than 900 works of art, but it's her dramatic, large-scale flower paintings that have become her most recognizable legacy. A fascinating chapter in O'Keeffe's career unfolded in 1938 when, at the age of 51, she received an unexpected commission. The Hawaiian Pineapple Company, now the Dole Food Company, offered her an all-expense-paid 9-week trip to Hawaii in exchange for 2 paintings for their advertising campaign. In a delicious twist of irony, O'Keeffe never painted a single pineapple during her stay. Instead, she was drawn to the island's non-native tropical flowers. In fact, none of her Hawaiian floral paintings featured plants indigenous to the islands. O'Keeffe's eye was caught by South American transplants, the vibrant bougainvillea, fragrant plumeria, dramatic helicania, delicate calliandra, and the statuesque white bird of paradise. O'Keeffe's relationship with her botanical subjects was wonderfully complex. She famously declared, "I hate flowers. I paint them because they're cheaper than models and they don't move." Yet she also offered this tender observation: "Nobody sees a flower, really. It is so small. It takes time. To see takes time. Like to have a friend takes time." O'Keeffe's solution to this modern blindness to nature's beauty was revolutionary. She said, "I decided that if I could paint that flower in a huge scale, you could not ignore its beauty." This approach wasn't mere artistic preference. It was a radical act that forced viewers to confront the overlooked elegance of the natural world. While some critics dismissed her flower paintings as merely sentimental or accessible, they missed the revolutionary nature of O'Keeffe's cropped, magnificent views. These weren't just pretty pictures. They were modernist manifestos, painted in pollen and petals. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, Around the House and in the Garden by Dominic Browning. This book came out in 2002, and the subtitle is A Memoir of Heartbreak, Healing, and Home Improvement. Well, my dear garden friend, you are in for a treat today. This book landed on my desk at exactly the right moment many years ago. It was like finding the perfect bloom, just when your garden needs a splash of color. Dominic Browning, the former editor-in-chief of House and Garden magazine, crafted something extraordinary here, a memoir that speaks to anyone who has ever found solace in their garden during life's storms. Isn't it fascinating how life has a way of arranging perfect ironies? Just as Browning's 15-year marriage was ending, she took the helm of House and Garden magazine, of course, tasked with helping others create perfect homes while her own was crumbling. Let me share a passage that I think will resonate with every parent who has ever tried to pass on their love of gardening. Every morning, for years now, my son has responded to my garden enthusiasms with a little attitude of bemusement, as if to say, there, dear, you'll be fine." He knows the drill so well that if I skip the commentary about a particular patch of moss or someone's hedge, he will squeeze my hand and hesitate expectantly at the spot. But he also assures me that he will never remember any of the names. "You're wasting your breath, Mom." Still, I know it won't be lost on him. Many years ago in Texas, I heard an old man say to a harried reporter, "You're living life like a clenched fist." I did not want this to be visited upon my son. Who gardens with a clenched fist? Gardens slow things down, relax that death grip with which we grasp the time we are given. I want simply to teach my children to see the roses. One day, they will know enough to stop and smell them, too. Love that one. Well, let me take a second here and read one other excerpt that I thought you would enjoy. Yes, here it is. She's writing about what it was like to be in her garden after her husband had left. When spring came slowly that year, I did not head out into the garden to chop apart the hardened mulch, open the beds, and inspect for those tender green shoots as I had every year before. Spring became summer, and still I stayed put. I simply could not take care of the garden any longer. It held no magic, promised no peace. It had been for us. We were no longer, so what was the use? I let it go. It flourished without me. It even seemed to take care of its own weeds, burying them under luscious new growth. Fall came, the sedum flushed, the hydrangea dried in gigantic bronze bouquets. The garden put itself down for the winter, and all I did was watch. A few more springs passed in the same sorry state, and then one day I noticed a profusion of weeds and decided to do something about them. Weed. I noticed dead branches and decided to do something about that. Prune. I noticed gaps and went to fill them. Plant. I noticed languor and thought I'd relocate some things to sunnier climes. Transplant, divide, fertilize, water. I didn't have the heart to do much, but I did some. Enough. Enough to get by, enough to get going again. As I worked, I thought how I would never be able to pour my heart and soul into that garden again, but that it would be a lovely thing to maintain, just until the next gardener moved in to renew it. How striking it is to be able to measure a passage of time in increments of weeding and pruning and planting. It dawned on me, I had tended that garden in great, lavish, loving strokes. It had given me quiet, steady, demanding, and undemanding seasons of pleasure. I took care of the garden, then the garden took care of me. I love it. Such a wonderful memoir. I think you will love it. This book is 208 pages of profound reflection on how our homes and gardens mirror our inner lives and how tending to our physical spaces can help heal our hearts. You can get a copy of Around the House and in the Garden by Dominic Browning and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for around $2. What a great book to get for the price of a stocking stuffer. Just wonderful. Please keep it in mind. All right, we end the show today with a wonderful Botanic spark that happened on this day, November 15th, back in 1985. A phenomenal piece of botanical history changed hands at Sotheby's auction house. Empress Josephine's personal copy of Pierre-Joseph Redouté's botanical watercolors in a book called Les Liliacées, or The Lilies. Redouté is often called the Raphael of flowers, and he revolutionized botanical art through his masterwork Les Liliacées. The title translates to the lilies, but the 8-volume work went far beyond and included irises, amaryllis, and other related plants. Redouté's innovative technique of stipple engraving and color printing achieved something remarkable: the ability to capture the most delicate gradations of color, showing the translucence of petals and the velvety texture of leaves with unprecedented accuracy. Now, this particular copy being auctioned that day wasn't just any version. It was Empress Josephine's personal copy, featuring 468 watercolors on vellum depicting the magnificent flowers from her gardens at Malmaison, as well as from St. Cloud, Versailles, and Sèvres. Created between 1802 and 1816, The collection was bound in 16 volumes that weighed a staggering 320 pounds. In one of the fastest high-value auctions ever recorded, just 3 minutes, the collection sold for $5.5 million to W. Graham a Rader, a rare book and print dealer who had organized a syndicate for the purchase. Sotheby's president, John Marion, started the bidding at an unprecedented $5 million, the highest opening bid ever in an art auction at the time. The story of this work is as fascinating as its price tag. Redoute created these illustrations during one of the most tumultuous periods in French history, spanning the French Revolution and the Napoleonic era. Despite the chaos around him, he managed to produce works of such exquisite detail and beauty that they set the standard for botanical illustration for generations to come. Redoute's work was so accurate that modern botanists can identify the exact species and varieties he depicted, while artists and designers still draw inspiration from his masterful compositions. This remarkable sale reminds us that botanical art isn't just about pretty pictures. It's about the intersection of science, art, and history. And when done with the mastery of someone like Redoute, it becomes something truly priceless. Well, as we wrap up today's show, isn't it remarkable how gardens weave through all of our stories? From Wordsworth finding hope in a winter garden, to Georgia O'Keeffe teaching us to truly see flowers, gardens have always been there to witness our struggles and celebrate our joys. I love how Wordsworth saw beauty where others saw only a depleted quarry. Like him, we gardeners are eternal optimists, aren't we? We see potential in the most unlikely places. A patch of weeds that could become a butterfly garden. A shady corner perfect for hostas. A blank wall calling out for climbing roses or hydrangea. O'Keeffe reminded us that nobody sees a flower, really. It is so small, it takes time. In our busy world, isn't that what the garden gives us? That precious gift of slowing down, of really seeing. Gardens invite us to pause and truly notice that sometimes when we tend our gardens, they tend us right back. Many of us have found solace among our plants during difficult times. Gardens have a way of gently pulling us forward, one season at a time. Well, that's it for today's show. Whether you're planning your winter garden like Wordsworth, painting your flowers like O'Keeffe, finding healing like Browning, or simply enjoying your own patch of earth, remember, you're part of this long, beautiful tradition of humans tending and being tended by gardens. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.